What is up, DTube? What is up, the Steam blockchain? Today I want to talk about being a novelty farmer. Novelty farming, novelty farmer. So, the digital world, what is it really? It's communication. It's communication with the cosmos, you in many ways can say, because everyone has sort of a device, and to be able to communicate, I mean, clearly that is very artistic. First we have language, how language communicate, or I mean computer languages, how they communicate to other computers and other humans. And then we have humans, they're using various languages that we also use in the world, depending on where you were born. So we already have a default language there, and then we use English. So we use a bunch of different languages, computer languages, human languages that humans have invented. And then we also have a lot of nuances in this field in terms of symbol languages, text languages, audio language. And it's really about becoming better at communicate and be able to better understand other languages and sort of communicate or connect all these pieces together. And it really is an invention of a new language, sort of how humans have to learn all these languages on the internet, and the better they become at using them, the better they can use something and the more value they will have. So what about novelty farmer? Well, lately this year, especially the first couple of months this year, I started to see sort of this uptick of games. And sure, we have had games in the past, but now we're getting these blockchain 3.0 games, I guess you can call it in many ways, where games are utilizing a token, and it's very fast, 3 seconds transfer, and you can play a game kind of nice like that. So we're going to see this uptick of games that bring novel events into people's life and assign tokens to it. So it means that in the past, when people play games, oh yeah, it was just a little bit of fun because it wasn't like a job. But now it can be a job, because when you when you have real ownership in games of items and tokens that is connected to a game, it's going to make it so it has real value. So a person can focus all their time of being what I would like to call a novelty farmer. So what is a novelty farmer? A novelty farming is basically you're mining value in novel events, items that are original, that has never been done before. In many ways, you can also call the existence itself for the ultimate novelty farmland, because each human has something unique and unique perspective, even though that sounds a bit cheesy sometimes to say, but it kind of is true in many ways that a human is a unique copy. So the existence itself is almost already like a novelty farm, but now we're doing digital novelty farming places, and sort of in some aspects digital worlds, where it's going to be so fun, especially with virtual reality when you connect that together. The digital world it's going to be very exciting. Okay, so people are going to mine novel events, new graphics, new exciting experiences. They're going to mine this. And yes, I actually think we're going to call it mine. So we, especially in the blockchain space, we know about all kinds of minings, hardware mining, social mining, but it's also going to be novelty farm mining. So I think that people are going to farm cool digital worlds that can be computer generated, and they're going to have some unique thing about them to make people engaged. And I mean, we already see this in the real world. People love new cool happenings. People love observing the nuances. In some aspect, you can say that, I mean, we can of course generalize that, oh, most people don't like novel events because they don't seem to take action to that in the real world. But if really gonna be honest, people enjoy small differences, and being a digital novelty farmer is really gonna speed things up. So what people are gonna be able to do is gonna invent games inside of games, and it gets really interesting when you make, for example, I find it cool to see small novel events when one developer is a little bit sharper than another developer and makes a little bit of sharper code that makes your life easier. And we are just going to see this keep on compounding. And what I think is going to happen is when people get a lot of tokens or something, they're going to look at, okay, cool, I have a bunch of tokens. What else can we do? Well, and then many people are probably going to come to the view of, well, why not just make a new token, right? And since we are living so much in the digital world, why not make something fun, okay? And what is the ultimate fun? The ultimate fun is games. Invent games. And I think that is what's going to happen. So we already have a lot of code, a lot of games that is amazing, okay? And but the only thing that is sort of missing at the moment is the blockchain aspect of it, so it can work as a job, okay, as a digital job or a digital landscape where a person can explore. People love exploring in games already, okay? The Sims and Minecraft. I mean, imagine Minecraft, where you can have a computer-generated world, but with real tokens. So we have a bunch of cool games coming. They're doing this. Prospectors, launching June the 29th, and it's already on EOS.io JungleNet at the moment. So you are basically can farm land and get golds, and then you can convert that to the PGL Prospectors token. So you have this kind of interesting thing where it's going to be online bragging rights of having novel stuff, novel unique copies of whatever. And it's going to be really cool. The technology is not really there yet to create a whole digital world where people can invent stuff in the games and really make it into a super engaging experience. Like, as a friend told me, we need a gaming platform that is decentralized, where everyone can sort of make their own game and be decentralized, basically. So you can basically speed up development. I mean, if you make massive efficiencies, you can really speed up development. And we're seeing a great team doing this right now, but it's not fully decentralized. Etam Games, they want to create this, and a friend told me about that. Etam Games, they're really doing some cool stuff where they want to build this place where they launched games with a bunch of tokens, and I think that this project is really going to be highly successful, because we need like a blockchain place for games and tokens and all that, and they're going to make a marketplace. But making a decentralized gaming development platform, it's a little bit different, because then it's not just about people playing games, but it's about people sort of creating games at the same time and sort of assign some tokens to it, because people really do want to make their own games, right? And we're seeing teams doing this half right now. We have Unity, more and more people get access to make their own game, but it's still not there yet where you can make a fully decentralized place for blockchain games. And basically we need like game studios, massive game studios, to decentralize this whole development of game aspect. So how it's going to work then is you can really build a novelty farm super fast, novelty, and people can become novelty farmers. We're already seeing this with a game called EOS Nights, where you can sort of mine items, you can sell them in the game, has an internal marketplace, and that's really cool. The only thing that's missing is that any single game that's out there should be an easy way for people to the games should basically be open source, where anyone can develop something for a specific game, and then if you assign a token to sort of a game, and then you get voting power, and then basically the owners of a token of that game development, they can decide, let's say someone propose, oh, I want to see this thing be launched in this game, and then the token owners of that game, which should be the community that will play the game, they can basically decide, okay, we're gonna put this in the game, the majority thinks so because they have voting rights, so we're gonna have voting rights in these decentralized games, or that would be something really, really cool. And that if you simplify coding, which Unity is doing, it's easier to create games. If you simplify coding and that people can just send in their suggestions, and then the community basically votes, people have more equity in the game. The gamers are not just earning it to earn some value, but they can also design the game. So decentralized games and game development, we're not really there yet. I mean, it's probably going to take 3 to 5 years before we really have that down. But once it's here, you can have a game, and instead of having a small team of game developers that basically needs game developers, they need a lot of funds. But if you, instead of having a team of maybe 100 people develop a game, you can have 1 million people that is decentralized and that is highly advanced in terms of technology, and that they don't need a salary because they already have a token, or maybe they just want to contribute because it's fun. They can contribute to game development of a game. So and that ties this together too. If you truly want to create an amazing Novelty Farmer world digital landscape where people can farm value, farm items, create items, that's going to be speeded up by a decentralized blockchain gaming platform. And I don't think there's any team that is sort of looking at decentralized game development at the moment, but we can keep our eyes open and see, because a lot of bigger gaming studios, they are going to enter this space. And the problem right now is you have a lot of small teams that are developing blockchain games, but they're not really connected together that well. They're sort of spread out, and that they don't have a decentralized gaming creation platform, and nobody really knows exactly how you would develop that decentralized blockchain gaming platform, because you would need a lot of transparency, you would need a lot of thinking to sort of map out what would be the ideal way to do that, what would be the ideal way to distribute tokens, and looking at other token distributions and sort of try to figure out what is the best way to do this. We don't really know about that. Like, we don't know anything about that, like how you would be able to do that. But eventually I think people are really gonna start to dive deeper into this, and it's gonna be really cool. Because right now, and this is not just about game development, but a lot of teams, they need a lot of funds. But if you decentralize the whole aspect, you can just have people work from microtransactions. So each person does a little bit of work, and nobody needs to do massive work, and everyone is getting some microtransactions in some token, and you basically don't need a lot of funds to do epic stuff. We have real world proof. Wikipedia, for example, which I think works like that people just build that without being paid. And that's going to be really, really cool. And the reason why it's not fully there yet is because a lot of this blockchain stuff needs to be developed, and it's not something that's easy. It takes a lot of time. But